LA is like a teeming city full of all kinds of good music. To get noticed, to get heard isn't hard. I mean, there's plenty of ears going around, but it's hard to stand out. It's hard to be counted. There's only so much time at the radio or on stage at Low Ends. The culture is kind of closed, and so if you're young and you're of the SoundCloud generation, this kind of post-music industry, what do?
When you're starting off as a musician, you're trying to have the world hear your music, and you're trying to progress as an artist yourself and get better at production. And one of the best ways to do that is to start a crew. Because then not only are you pushing your music, but you have 10 other people helping to spread your music. And you have 10 other people who can teach you how to do stuff. My Team Supreme, stay clean.
Team Supreme kind of started in a classroom. It was called Advanced Tech Music, and it was taught by this dude in Aleppo.
I started teaching down at Chapman University. When I was there, I did an intro class, and then I started teaching an advanced class. The first time I taught it, I had Andrew, Djemba Djemba, David, Fuzz, Preston and Henry were Virtual Boy. Their homework every week was to make a new track. Make something dope, and we're gonna pass the thumb drive around, and we're gonna listen to it at the beginning of class.
That was the biggest motivation in the world, because you're making your art and you immediately want to share it with the world.
We'd bump it loud and, get in trouble from the choir teacher down the hall because I was rocking it as loud as possible. And that semester, I brought in all sorts of different artists that they could grab inspiration from. There's people like No Such Thing was a friend of mine, and Beretta from the Glitch Mob came in, and they went back and told Marianne Hobbs from BBC Radio, you gotta check these kids' music out, they're making really dope stuff. And she literally hit up these guys on their MySpace pages, they made as homework assignments, and asked to send them music, which she then played on her show. She played Virtual Boy, and she played Andrew and Mike Jones and Marty Soul. And it was like, guys, you just got played on like the hottest show where she has discovered all these amazing artists. When we got to that point, I felt like this is everything I ever wished it could be and more.
Once we graduated, we were kind of missing that weekly get-together where everybody would show what they were working on, because it really helps to like form a community like that to push each other.
2012, a year after I graduated college, Dane Morris, he and I were just up one night and we kind of challenged each other to take 30 minutes to write a 1-minute track using the same sample.
Everyone says it's like a Biggie sample, but technically it was me saying, My Team Supreme, stay clean, which was just something in the middle of a random Biggie song.
My Team Supreme, stay clean. Triple beam.
We went in separate rooms and just made something with it, just kind of to see like what we could do. And both of them we really liked, and then we thought, what if we emailed this to all the people we know who are producers?
We sent out the samples and the rules to about like 12 or 13 of our closest friends and said, if you have an hour, make a track, send it back, and then next week we'll put it out as a mixtape.
We added a few more people to the team, like Kenny Siegel, Jonathan Stein, and Aaron Carmack, and kept building. And before you know it, we had this crew of people.
Starting from then, for 2 years, we did it every week. If you go on SoundCloud, you'll find 1 through 100 and whatever we're at now.
A 2, a 3. People started commenting on all the videos like, oh, like, this person won this week. And it's like, huh, that's interesting. Like, who's gonna win next week,
And then you kind of listen and say, okay, well, I like what they did, and you're really kind of firing on all cylinders, as opposed to like, here's a beat, and it just sits in my hard drive forever. It's like, this week it comes out, and I see what it looks like next to these other beats, So it's very like, in your face with like, how good are you?
There'll be times where I'm like, man, I feel like I'm never gonna be as amazing of a producer as like Djemba Djemba or whoever. But then you just have to realize that it's just not fair to compare yourself in that way. It's better to just learn from one another and make each other better.
Yeah, the great part about being in like a crew with your friends is that if anybody did something amazing that you hadn't heard before, it's not out of bounds to just talk to your friend and be like, hey, how did you do that sound? And a lot of people are competitive, but with us, it's just more about bringing the whole group up. So we'd share projects, share files, share techniques.
The way the beat ciphers worked is there would be anywhere from one very short sample to maybe a long sample or even a set of stems. For a while there was a transition sound that would kind of be a bookend between the individual beats. There was a specific BPM, tempo, and a deadline.
Just that alone was enough creative inspiration to get people, progressing their music.
That was like the first time that I really challenged myself to make something within a certain time limit. Before I would mix and EQ and do everything all at the same time as I'm writing, and I would get so caught up in all the details too early in the writing process. So making it like a game just brought back all of the joy and was like an awesome reminder of why we're all doing this.
Every week we were assigned to bring in a completely new track. And that's how I learned that you have to get comfortable making more rather than spending time working on one thing. I sort of realized that early on from watching Jemba Jemba. He's one of our superstar producers, and whenever I see him write, it doesn't take him very long to write an idea or write a track. I feel like the most important thing with production is getting your idea down in Ableton as fast as you possibly can. If you're able to spit out all of your greatest ideas in a relatively short amount of time, odds are your track's gonna sound a lot better, I think.
Doing the cypher every week, it's hard for one person to come up with samples. So every time we were doing this, it was like, who can we ask to help curate a tape?
Sometimes the guest would make a beat as well. Sometimes they're just the curator and then, would put the tape together as well.
At first it was kind of like, that's cool that they're doing that and there's this thing called Team Supreme going on, but then DJ Shadow actually ended up curating one of the weeks of the Beat Cypher, and then it was like, these guys are kind of legit now, DJ Shadow's fucking with them, so yeah, I think that was kind of the tipping point for those guys, and then everything just kind of took off from there.
For the first 40 to 50 weeks, it was mostly just Team Supreme people and friends, close invitations on all the ciphers. And then we opened it up to the public.
We found all these younger producers who desperately wanted to have a beat on one of our tapes and wanted to share their music with the rest of the world, just like we did when we were younger. And I think all of us kind of loved that.
We got so many submissions back from beat makers that we might not have previously ever heard of, and then it's like, oh my God, they just sent us this crazy fire that's so awesome. So eventually we started doing it more often and then just made them all open.
I think it's a really great thing for kids to get excited and want to make a beat that'll get on a tape. And it's really interesting to see how they progressed, as well as all the people on Team Supreme.
Every project that we put up online was like a calling card to some people. One of the songs that I made in Team Supreme ended up in the hands of Gaslamp Killer, who's like an LA staple for beat music. I saw the video on YouTube and I was just blown away that my music could make a crowd jump like that.
Brand new LA shit!
I was super happy, but at the same time I was like, okay, I can do this. Next time I'm gonna be on the stage. And within 2 years I was on the same stage.
A couple of the guys are more out ahead with their careers, like Carmack just churns out insane beat after insane beat, and there's whole genres of music that start from one song of his, and there's a bunch of producers that are kind of making that style. Andrew's in the studio writing a record with Madonna, getting a back rub from her on Instagram, but they're so supportive of the whole team. You've got the guys who are the younger ones who are just coming up, but everyone's really cheering for them and helping each other out. And that's what I love about the Team Supreme crew, is there's this camaraderie and this mutual respect and love.
If you ever need advice or anything, I got you.
Down the street. Let's shoot. My experience.
Yeah.
Even now, as people reach new milestones in their careers and have bigger and bigger things happening, everyone kind of shares all their experiences, and I think it's a real asset to everyone. There's a lot of synergy with all of the different things different people bring to the plate as far as what they know and who they know.
changes in the wheel.
The coolest thing about it is like when we all meet and we're all together again. It's just familiar, it's family, it's togetherness, and that's the things that I love about Team Supreme. Is that it's more family and it's more like this association, bro club, you know, like we're not putting up any fronts, you know. It's just, we like to make music, you know, that's it.
I think when it comes to music, it's really important to have an open mind. I've never felt like I've gotten weird looks about my silly children's toy beat music from the Team Supreme family. And I get a lot from that.
We met and we were so early in it that we weren't skeptical yet. It was just kind of like, oh, you're making like weird like toy beat music? That's awesome. Everybody just has like different styles and everybody appreciates and loves those styles. It's as long as you're being you and making like your style of music, then we'll probably all really enjoy it and want to support it. It's been a really fun ride so far. The last big thing we did was our first tour outside of LA.
You made these beats? Yeah. Oh, you're nice. You're nice. So all you do is make beats. You don't get on stage and do no other shit?
Sometimes I rap. We did the East Coast and the West Coast, and we sold out every show. That was the most relevant big thing we've done since the inception of Team Supreme, because these are the biggest crowds personally I've ever played for. And you could tell that they had gone and done their homework on like who we were as a collective, and like they really understood the collaborative joy we get out of this. And I think the tour was a big like, let's keep doing this.
I think the sky's the limit for all of them. It's not just because of LA or anything, it's just because of their own ingenuity, really. We're in a moment now where it's like a new collective moment.
It's a really awesome time in music right now, and to have strength in numbers, I think everyone realizes that squads come up together, and then it fosters a sense of community.
Even just forming a community where people share their work allows for such like creative growth and expression that's like, I don't know why more people don't do it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Found it at Team Supreme.
Damn, son, where'd you find this? Damn. 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 Damn.
I found it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Found it.
Damn, son.